Okay, so we are now live. And okay, everyone, I am Dani, and I am here with Jamie.
Hi.
Books Are My Fandom. And we are live for another round of BAMFS Aloud. And this time we've got Dana Elmendorf.
Yep, that's right.
Author of South of Sunshine. Okay, so Dani, and then
I'm Jamie, and this is the book, in case it didn't switch over to me when I started showing it.
And then, Dana, why don't you introduce yourself and your novel?
I'm Dana Elmendorf. I was born and raised in a small town in Tennessee until I met my husband 20 years ago, and now I live in California. And my book is South of Sunshine, and it's about a teenage girl in the rural South. When the new girl moves to town, she falls in love, and she has to learn how to accept herself in this small town in the Bible Belt, in a town that's not so accepting of her being a lesbian. And so it just goes through her first time falling in love and how to accept herself when even her own family doesn't accept her and that kind of thing. So, and it's my first novel, came out earlier this year.
Okay, so just as an FYI, Dani and I are going to be reviewing South of Sunshine on Books Are My Fandom on the 20th of October. You'll be able to see this video again. And Dana has graciously given us stuff for a giveaway that's US only. You'll be able to win a signed hardcover of the book and some swag. So how this broadcast is going to work is we're going to start by asking Dana some questions and then open the floor to you guys to ask questions under the hashtag BAMFS Aloud. I've seen a couple in there already, so if you guys want to continue doing that, that'd be great. We'll choose some at random later on in the show once Dani and I have asked our questions.
Because we're more important.
Yeah.
don't this. Okay, so our first question, Dana, is about Kaycee. So tell us a bit about Kaycee and how she changes throughout the novel, how she grows.
Kaycee to me is the type of young lady who's I think a lot of teenagers can relate to is she's unsure in her own skin, and I think that's something that a lot of teenagers that you go through. You're insecure in your own skin, and you're not sure. You're navigating those teenage years. But for Kaycee, there's an added layer. She knows she's a lesbian, and so for Kaycee, in the South, especially in the Bible Belt, it's not as accepted as it is like here in California now. And so I think for Kaycee, when she starts out the novel, her best survival instincts say, let's pretend that this doesn't exist. And, in her own head, she knows it does, but she thinks like, maybe if I kiss enough boys or if I date enough guys, this will go away. And I actually put that aspect in her character because a friend of mine who grew up in the South, and that was something that she had done. And so I think it's just very true to who she was, insecure about it, not sure. Even in the book, her best friend, she has one best friend who's gay and one who's not. And the friend who's not gay, she even feels insecure about coming out to her. Like, what is she going to think? What is she going to do? And I said, so for Kaycee, she starts off the novel denying who she is. And then as the novel goes, she learns that whether she's gay or not, people are not going to like you. You can't make everybody like you, and not everybody's going to love you. And I think by the end of the novel, Kaycee realizes at the end of the day, I have to be happy with me. I have to do what's best for me. And I think that was a huge growth for Kaycee. And it was a huge risk for her because it's a very scary thing. She didn't know if her mother was going to accept her. She didn't know if the town people were going to accept her. And you get some who do and you get some who don't. And that's just a reality of a lot of what these young teenage kids are going through. So,
yeah, I definitely experienced some of that growing up as well, because I grew up in a pretty small town, and there's like the one really out kid and everybody else is closeted because you don't know what's going to happen if you come out. So I definitely saw a bit of that in the book which actually leads to our next question, which is how did you decide on the setting and how did this influence the story?
I knew right away I wanted to set it in the South. The reason I knew right away, the idea for the book come about, I was at a SCBWI conference, which is a Society of Children's Writers and Book Illustrators. It's a huge networking group for children's writers. And it was a conference in New York. And so what I had done is I was stalking an agent actually on another story at an LGBT meeting. And there was a discussion about it, there was a lesbian woman. She goes, I don't understand why, heterosexual people don't feel like they can't write for gay people. You're not a vampire and you can write about vampires. And I just said, you know what, that's true, but you can't offend a vampire. You can't offend, someone in the gay community. And so I was like, if I wrote this book, I'd have to set it in the South. I'd have to show the roots of the South and how ugly it is. And I'd have to include racism and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, that's how I would have to do it because that's my roots. That's what I know. And Ellen Hopkins was there and she pointed her finger and she said, write that story, write what scares you. And so that's what I did. And I think it's when you're scared to write that, like I said, when I had to write it in the South, I was going to have to show the roots that I love. I love my Southern roots. There's so much about I'm going to have to show the ugly side. And that was the part that was like, well, that's how I knew I was writing the right book. That's how I knew I chose the right setting, is because when you have to do that, and you just makes you sick to your stomach, but you have to do it anyway, and I think that's why I was so grounded in that setting, and it's what I know. I mean, it's loosely based on my hometown. Some of my friends go, I know what you're talking about there, so I did loosely base it on myself, but I'm from the South. Even though I live in California, I've lived here a while. You can take the girl out of the country. You can't take the country out of the girl. So it's just a very true sentiment.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've never been to the South. I've been to California. I've been to New York. I've never been anywhere in between there. So when I was reading everything I know about the South, I've got from movies and TV shows. And for me, it was really fun reading that side of it, just because it's like, this is completely different from what I grew up with. In fact, like you were saying, Jamie, about how you grew up in a small town. When I was growing up, it didn't even occur to me that there were gay people in my school, and I was just like, okay, fine, whatever. Because I grew up in international schools, and everyone was different anyway, because everyone was from a different part of the world. So I didn't actually know that there was an issue until I came to the UK, funnily enough.
Yeah, well, you just bring up a very valid point, and I feel like that's why I had to write this book, is because people don't realize it's actually really an issue. And I just, even people who know I've written this book and they know I'm a huge supporter of the gay community, they still say things around me, and then I'll go, that's not okay. I have to constantly correct people. It's like, wow, it's just, I don't know. I think it's because that's exactly why it needed to be written, because people think, oh, that doesn't really exist. It does, But
then I found out it was an issue. I found out about all these things happening, in countries that are say that they're really open and really free and so on, like the States, like UK,
Canada,
where everyone is really nice, or supposedly really nice. And what I found was I knew that these things happened, but then when I was reading the book, I was like, whoa, these things happen. For me, because I really I could really connect to Kaycee, especially that moment where she's in her bedroom and she's like, that's a boy thing, that's a girl thing, that's a boy thing. I've never felt like a girly girl, but then at the same time, I'm not a complete tomboy. So that really resonated with me, that there isn't really a girl or boy standard. People like a mix of things. But okay, so I really liked that it was set in the South, and it was really fun to read about, what's it, the
cat and mouse game?
The cat and mouse. I love the cat and mouse game. That was.
Hey, that's a real game. Just so you know, I actually played that game growing up. It's a real game. It's so fun.
We did that too, actually, but we did it on bikes, not in cars, because we were too young to drive. So it was even harder because you have to like go really, really fast on your bike, and you're like, I'm gonna die. But yeah.
I've never heard. Well, okay, we had a cat and mouse when I was in school, but it was when you were like in class and you're standing around in a circle and you've got like someone. Like mice trying to go in or out of this. I can't even remember how you play it, but you go around a whole town, you know?
Yeah.
I really like that, and I like all of the sayings. So I think you need to say that eat up thing for me because I cannot imagine it in my head.
Oh, well, you know, like the way it is like if somebody was really in love with somebody else, maybe like, man, she is eat up with it. In other words, like she is just really eat up with just being in love. Or another way is if somebody is really ugly, you'd be like, man, they are eat up with ugly, which is a very cruel thing to me. But I mean, that was how it originated. Or you could be eat up with stupid, like, oh, come on, man, you are just eat up with stupid. So it's just, you're consumed by it is pretty much what that means, you know. It's so funny is that my editors actually are like, I don't get what this means, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so I immediately go over to Facebook when I'm editing, and I'm like, okay, y'all, all my Southern people, what does it mean when you say you're eat up with it? Because I thought, am I screwing this saying up? Like, and all of them, like, you're consumed with it. It's all of, you know, like all my Southern friends immediately jump on my feed and they're like, oh, this is what it means. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, good. I hadn't screwed that saying up, but yeah. So yeah, you know, when I was writing this book, that was the whole thing is I wanted to shove everything about the South in this book and show the fun side of what the South can be too. And I felt like I had to do that with all the ugly that I showed, you know. So
there was such a I don't know, like part of it's so free and fun and all of this outdoorsiness, and everyone was on the surface really like friendly to each other, but then there was like that dark side. Really dark side with all that hate, and I was like, how can you be like, it always confuses me how people can be really nice but then really not nice at the same time.
Yep, they can put on that facade, you know, that, oh, this is who I am, this is great, and then turn over there and gossip about somebody, you know. I think I don't think that's just new. I don't think that's just to the South. I think that can be anywhere. It's just more shocking in the South because you have that Southern charm and you have all that layer on top. You don't expect it. It seems more unexpected. Yeah.
I think I'd be thrown out of the South. I don't learn nearly enough foundation, so it's so
right. It's so funny is I was born and raised in the South, and we had Merrill Norman, which is a real store still around, and it's like a paste base that you put on and everything. To this day, I mean, I have on makeup for you guys. I have on blush and I have on mascara, and I never wear this much makeup, and I don't even have a foundation on. And I think it's because in the South that all that makeup, I was just like, it's like paste on your skin. I could never do it. I'm much more natural. So, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to be in front of a camera. I should probably not look pale.
Yeah, I just do this so that I look less scary on camera because this is going to be there forever and ever on YouTube. So
I just don't care. So you get me as I am with a nice orange light shining on me. So
you don't have your backdrop.
I don't. I ran out of tape, so it's not up right now because I have it taped to like my laundry rack. So
you tape it.
I tape it, and all I have is duct tape, and it's like plaid. That's how. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That's a thing. I have lots of plaid everything because my hometown is like part of the southern tip of Canada, so we like to pretend that we're like the fake U.S. South. That's why we play all the same games. So this book was like, yes, hometown. So.
And I'm from South Africa, but we don't do those things.
You should bring it back. Next time you go, be like, we're going to do this now. We're the fake South.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Okay, So back to like our real questions. What do you hope readers take away from South of Sunshine?
I think ultimately you have to be yourself. It doesn't matter who you are in life, if you're gay, you're straight, or whatever. I really feel like you need to be yourself. Like, I hope that's what they take away. At the end of the day, you have to make yourself. I think that's the most important thing. And, you know, if you live your life for someone else and try to make someone else happy, you're never going to be completely fulfilled. And I hope at the end of the day they can take that away. Beyond that, I really hope, you know, this book reaches out to some young girls who feel like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I went through, you know? But ultimately, I really hope it gives a window for a lot of people who don't know this exists. I would love for, a friend of mine was telling me her mother-in-law, who's, you know, 53, 57, something like that, and she was like, I did not realize what these girls were going through. You know, and that's what I hope. I hope it gives somebody. I hope they see another side that a world they didn't even know existed, and I hope it creates empathy. So that's another. You know, I hope it happens. You know, as people read it. So. Well,
I cried. So.
I did too. So yeah, it was. Yeah.
With her mom, and I was like, I miss my mom. And now my mom she arrived in Texas. She's in Texas, in the middle of nowhere. There's like an observatory or something down in Texas where her cousin's husband works. And my mom
cousin's husband's sister's uncle. No,
so yeah, my mom was now in Texas for a month, and I'm like, why did you come see me instead? I want to go to Texas and see cowboys.
They got some good rodeos in Texas.
I think I need to go to the South and just not say too much and get some more makeup.
And you need to eat some barbecue. Barbecue was my favorite thing when I went to Nashville. I think I like stuffed myself on it every single day.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and barbecue's different in Tennessee than it is in Texas.
Yeah.
So like if you eat barbecue in Tennessee, you're eating pork barbecue. And if you go to Texas, you're eating beef barbecue. And we're strictly pork people here. You know, if you're going to eat barbecue, it better be pork. I'm just saying, you know.
And you also have the pork rinds. Like here they have crackling, and I cannot I'm kind of like Bran, where I'm just like, why are you eating pig skin?
Have you tried it? It's really good.
I can't do it.
It's really good. It's so gross, but it's so good. I sent a package of pork rinds and moon pies and a bunch of stuff to my publisher when the book came out as here's a little taste of Tennessee. Thanks for doing my book. And they're like, I don't know if we can eat the pork rinds. So, hey, I'm on. Yeah, sorry. My son came in the room.
I've heard of moon pies. Jamie,
yeah, they're not bad.
I've had this conversation before.
We have had this conversation before.
What a moon pie was.
Yeah. Because I live really close to like the American border, so I get the best of both worlds. Actually, where I'm living right now, I can see the U.S. So I get a lot of everything.
Seriously?
Yeah. Remind me after, and I'll show you my view.
It seems weird, like another country from where I am. That's cool. Okay, Jamie.
We should move into our next section so that the audience can ask their questions, because I have a couple here on Twitter. So Sarah at the Book Traveler wants to know what your writing process is like. Are you a planner or a pantser?
I'm a total pantser. I've tried to plot and it just doesn't work. So for me, the current book I'm working on, I'm having to kind of plot, but I hate plotting. So I'll like plot a little bit, then I'll just kind of shove it to the side, and then I'll just go back to pantsing until I pants myself in a corner. And then I have to kind of plot, but I don't I just sit down and write. When I was writing South of Sunshine, I got to chapter 7, which is my favorite chapter, the super secret library meeting, you know, that chapter where they're in there. And I was like, this is such a fun chapter. It's my favorite chapter. It has absolutely no purpose in the book. So I was like, how can I keep this chapter? And then that's when I came up with the ending of the book. I was like, I could do, and I'm not going to say what I could do because that would give away a big spoiler. And I'm like, yeah. And so that's about the extent of my plotting.
Okay.
I really like that chapter as well. The whole like pretending you have a secret, like this really big secret thing. I can remember doing that. I can probably still do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we definitely still do that. So
it's actually not a secret, but too much fun. I really just want to have it like a secret handshake thing with people.
I've always wanted to do that too, like a secret club. We don't have to really do anything. We just need to have a secret club.
But you need like a clubhouse. Like you need some place to meet. Like the clubhouse is the most important part. So
yeah, you're right. As long as you have a clubhouse, you're good, right? Like that's all you really need.
And maybe like some sweaters or jackets or something, and then you're like official.
Jackets. I want pink like satin acid jacket with some writing on it.
Yeah, like the pink ladies. You're good to go.
Yep.
But it wouldn't be a secret.
Well, I mean, they don't have to know what the jacket's for.
Or you could wear them all at different times. Like one person wears it one day, one person wears it the next. It'll be like the traveling pants but jackets.
I want Wednesday.
I think underwear, because then no one sees it, but you know it's there. That is the ultimate secret.
Okay, I am not sharing underwear with you guys. I'm sorry. It's just like
we could have like I don't know, a nice like picture. These are really big underwear.
So we all wear granny panties. That's good to know.
That's our secret. Okay, do we have another audience question? Or
I do have another one. I didn't know if you had one over on YouTube or not. I was waiting to see if you had one there.
I didn't even think. Like, I didn't even think.
Well, Dani is looking for that. Sarah would also like to know, what was your main inspiration to write the book, which we sort of already talked about.
Yeah, I think the initial inspiration was, Ellen Hopkins to tell me, write what scares you. And it doesn't matter what story that is. You should always write something that you feel like would be a challenge. That was the first part. But I think the other part was when I first moved to California to be with my husband, I was living in this apartment, and across from me was these two women who were living in an apartment. And they had both just gotten out of college, and they moved out to California. And it was about, 3 to 6 months after them living, or 3 months. It was about 3 months of them living there, and we were hanging out. We were cooking dinner and eating, and we were sitting in my living room floor watching 90210, the original. And I just, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are a couple. And they busted out laughing at me, and they're like, well, yeah, what'd you think we were? And I'm like, thought you were roommates. And I think it was in that moment that everything that was said or I heard in the South just went, like that no longer mattered. That no longer, this is something totally, I love these, and to this day, these women are some of my dearest friends, and I think I wrote the story for them. I wrote the story for a guy friend of mine in high school who to this day, he's like, he wasn't even sure if he should call himself gay. He's like, but I don't feel gay. And he's not, he's transgender, but he'll never be able to be that person. And I'll choke. It breaks my heart that he can't be who he is, because if he does, he'll lose his mother. He's 47 years old, and he can't even be who he is. And that to me is heartbreaking. And so I wrote this book for all my friends like that who felt like, who to this day still couldn't, or for the longest time didn't feel like they could truly be themselves. So I think that's where the most inspiration for this book came from,
That's, wow.
I'm sorry, Debbie Downer. I didn't mean to be.
No, it's just, I experienced the same thing when I was in my small little town. So, you're just hitting on all the right notes for me to be like, ugh, you know, it sucks.
Yeah,
So.
it does. It really does, you know.
I'm just really sad that people got really angry at the world right now.
Yeah.
Really angry.
Yeah.
Why is it anyone's business?
Yeah.
I don't understand how, like, I know that people exist that have this mindset, but because it's so unnatural for me, like, it never even occurred to me that was potentially wrong, but it's not, like, I don't understand how people can think that, but
Yeah.
That's like a whole other ballpark and like ball game that we got going on now, though, Dani. Like, we can't fix the world in this one little chat.
I want to fix the world. Why can't I fix the world? Okay, I want to continue. So when it's just Jamie and I doing our show, I have this like would you rather section at the end, but I've got a would you rather question for you now.
Okay.
It is, would you rather be able to read or be able to read minds but be illiterate?
Oh, I'd rather be able to read. I just don't want to read minds. Like I don't want to know what you're thinking. Like I don't know. I just think I think that's the only space that you have that, you know, that if you knew what everybody was thinking, you would probably just go insane. I don't know. I just think that would be, it's not as romantic as Twilight would like you to think it is. I don't think so. So I'd just rather read. I don't need to read your mind.
I you know what? Every time that somebody has become able to read minds in media, like on TV and stuff, they've always gone insane. Like in the
really?
episode where she can read minds, she like breaks down. And every episode of TV that or movies that I've watched where people have that, they've always been like,
true. That's so
I can't do this. So yeah, I don't want to read nobody's mind. I'm good.
Well, it becomes invasive. Like you feel like you feel like you're doing it. Then you oh, maybe I would abuse it to like, you know, get money or go shopping or I don't know. You know, like I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, I'd rather not.
I mean, you could technically, even if you couldn't read, you could read someone's mind while
they're reading the story.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
That's pretty creative. There you go.
Would that mean then that I would be like, if you were reading and I was reading your mind, I would also visualize things the same way as you? Because that would be pretty cool.
I don't know if you want to do that though.
But it would still be cool. Yeah, maybe not some books, maybe just like every other book.
See, I don't think it would work the other way around because you read so fast that I don't think you actually like think of the word as you're reading it.
I actually read out loud sometimes to myself, though. I don't like read it in my mind. Is that weird? Am I weird?
No.
Okay.
I do that when I'm reading a textbook and like I've read the same sentence 5 times, not stuck. It's happening a lot right now. I don't have that much time. Why aren't you getting in my brain? Okay.
I do not have an answer for that. I'm sorry.
But what if the whole like going insane thing, isn't that a bit cliche now? No, since it happens all the time. What if you got it from birth, wouldn't it just be part of normal life?
If you had it from birth, yeah, but if you just magically gained this power, I think it would be bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you had it from birth, yeah, if you had it from birth, you wouldn't know or conceptualize any other way. That would be the only way you would understand things, you know?
And what if everyone could read minds?
That would be bad, Dani. Like, please.
You just hear like feedback.
You'd stop talking, you know? And there would be no more, maybe they would even like stop music after a while, you know? Then we'd all become aliens. Isn't that how the aliens communicate?
I'm kind of okay with that.
completely silent world. We wouldn't need ears. We would not have ears anymore. Our whole head would just change. Yeah, aliens. I have taken it too far now. Okay. Do we have any more questions on your end?
No. Nope, that was the last one. Do you have any questions on your end?
Well, my brother is watching the show. And
I did see that, actually.
Jay, I'm not asking that question. That has got nothing to do with the book.
Okay, well now you have to say it because now we're all curious.
Yeah, I'm like, what's happening? What does he want to know?
They watched Lego Bionicles today.
Okay.
And he wanted to know if you heard of Lego Bionicles. And
Have I? What was the question?
Have you heard of Lego Bionicles?
Yeah, I have probably about 20 of them in my house. No joke. I have 2 sons. Of course I know what Lego Bionicles are.
You know more than I
He's got 3 of them for his birthday, so yes.
I thought it was like a Netflix thing.
That is, what Bionicle do you think you are?
Okay, I'm not that familiar with them. We have them. You put them together. That's all I know. I don't know their fancy names.
There might be like a BuzzFeed quiz for that. We should find it. And then we'll make everybody figure out what their Lego Bionicle is.
Okay, well, my brother is clearly strange. His poor girlfriend is sitting there like, she likes books. He doesn't really like books. He likes video games. And yeah, she makes him watch. Oh, she's now sending me a message. I probably embarrassed both of them. I'm great for asking that question. But, okay. Weirdos. I have no more questions after that.
Okay.
Detour. Okay. So I think we are done with the interview. Our when is our review going up?
It's going up on the 20th.
The 20th.
Yes.
And you'll be able to watch this video then as well. Our next broadcast is next week on the 22nd. And then we're going to be interviewing Catherine Lowe about how it ends. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything else, baby.
Okay. I think that's pretty much good. So thank you, Dana, for joining us. We're going to tweet out links for where you can find South of Sunshine on the BAMF Twitter account, which is at AREMYFANDM. There's no O. So it's Books Are My Fandom without the last O, not the one of the other O's in between. So you can look for those. You can see our review on the 20th, and there's going to be a giveaway with that as well. And we'll see you next time.
And thank you guys for having me. I loved being here. It was awesome.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope everything's okay with your sons.
Oh, yeah. He'll be good.
Okay. You can just get him more Lego Bionicles, so. Okay.
Good thing you have them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.